Welcome back to another episode of Eastern Bazaar, where we seek out groups and activities that are anything but the norm. Today we have a privilege to chat with some really talented people who spend their free time in hobbies that most of us has never even heard of or have never even considered doing. I'm your host, Jean Pilon, and right now we have Natasha Wickenheiser with us to teach us about what her hobby is. Welcome and thank you for coming in, Natasha.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what your major is.
Well, I just transferred to Eastern this past fall. I transferred from Monroe County Community College, and I'm double majoring in communications and written communications here, and I'll graduate next April.
Excellent, excellent. So very nice. So what is it that you do in your free time that is so very interesting and that's a little different from the norm?
Well, it's called Cosplay, which is a combination of the words costume and role play. So the concept is that you dress up as a character, whether it's from a television show or a book or a video game, etc., and you become that character in a way that you act like them and role play as them.
Oh, interesting. How did you get involved in something like this?
Well, when I was a freshman in high school, one of my good friends had read a comic series called Death Note, and she passed it along the group of friends that we were in, and we all really enjoyed it. And so as we did Google searches and YouTube searches of this series just to learn more about it, we saw all of these pictures and all of these videos where people had cosplayed, and we thought, well, that's kind of cool. And so we went out to thrift stores and we started finding costume pieces and sewing them together and making our own costumes.
Is there any other special equipment or tools or talents that you need to do this?
I think it really depends on the character that you're trying to portray. Some characters, I mentioned Death Note, a lot of them wear jeans or suits, so it's very simple to kind of put together. But some costumes you'll see, and they're so intricate, you have intricate beading, or you'll have feathers, or a wide variety of things depending on the character. So that kind of influences the tools that you use, whether you're using a sewing machine or you're doing metalworking or woodworking, etc. As for skills, I think it's important to remember that it's all about having fun. A lot of people I feel like they think, oh, I can't sew, or I'm not brave enough to act like this character, and so they shy away from it. But as long as you go out and you enjoy the character and you're just having fun, I think that's the most important element of it.
You brought some pictures of your work today, so let's take a look at those right now and tell us a little bit about the work that you do and the pictures that you brought.
Absolutely. I brought a variety of pictures just from some of the photo shoots that we had taken. There's stuff from Full Metal Alchemist, and you'll see there's some pictures of me with some black, long, curly hair, and that character's name is Lust. And
wings are involved then.
Actually, no wings.
Oh!
Surprisingly. But her character is a homunculi, and so she's kind of this, she's not human, but she's from human. It's really interesting, but you have to read the series to understand it. And in a lot of the pictures you'll see a good friend of mine, her name is Brandy. She goes to the University of Toledo right now. And typically she does the male character out of all of our combinations. So in the Full Metal Alchemist pictures, she's the man in the big muscle suit. And
wow.
I think it's really interesting because with cosplay, we can become whoever we want. So, she puts on a bald cap and she puts on this big muscle suit and she becomes a completely different person. So
that is really, really interesting. That's really some unique work. How do you think you can incorporate your hobby into maybe some of your future goals?
Well, I want to pursue essentially business work, communicating for a company and maybe doing some public relations work. And I think sometimes that can be kind of stressful. And so I think with cosplay, I mentioned earlier, a lot of it's about having fun and remembering that it's okay to still be a kid sometimes and put on a costume. And so I think remembering that we don't always have to be serious is an important element that I can incorporate in my future goals so that I don't get too bogged down and I still have a part of me left.
Do you think that what you do and the role playing helps you become a little bit more bold, and maybe that will help you in the business world in terms of maybe dealing with other people?
I would definitely agree that that's the case. A lot of times, because we take these costumes to different anime conventions and comic conventions, and I never would have thought that I'd be the person to go up to a random stranger and just start a conversation. But that's exactly what happens when you see this beautiful costume and you just have to go tell them, oh my goodness, that's just gorgeous. You put so much work into it. And it starts actually some lifelong friendships. So I don't know, I think definitely stepping out of my comfort zone can be applied to business work in the future.
Are there groups that do this that you belong to, or is there more than one? Are they around, this area?
There are. I'm not part of a particular cosplay group, but at these different conventions I mentioned, thousands and thousands of people come. And there's one in Detroit that I go to every year called YomaCon. Usually right around Halloween is the time that happens. But they're all over the place, and so you meet these different people, and sometimes you have a really strong connection with these individuals that you meet at the different conventions, and you might kind of do a video together, do a photo shoot together. But I'm not part of anything super structured.
Okay, so there's YomaCon. You said that's around Halloween time, and are there any other major events that take place in the Detroit area other than that one? Because I'm familiar with that one.
Okay, well there is Motor City Comic Con, and that happens in the summer usually.
Okay.
I haven't had the privilege to go to that one yet just because of time commitments, but I believe there's also one in Ann Arbor-ish, but it's very small. It's a much smaller one and not nearly on the scale of Motor City Comic Con or YomaCon.
Have you ever taken your skills to doing anything on the stage, or other than the convention type things?
Well, at the conventions, you can actually perform on stage. We have, usually they're called masquerades, and so people will bring skits to the stage. My group, my small group of friends that we usually go with, we haven't taken anything to the stage, but we have filmed several videos just kind of on our own, based on different series. But those are, I don't know, they're not super grand. They're just, we got together and came up with a plot and rolled with it and had fun.
What's the most recent series that you've worked on?
Probably Doctor Who. I've been a big fan of Doctor Who since I was very little.
Okay.
And the most recent costume set that we did, I cosplayed Rose Tyler, and my best friend Brandy cosplayed the 10th Doctor, and so we did a whole series with them.
So it can be a series of books, it can be based on movies, it can be based on stories, it can be based on anything.
Yes, and some people, if they get bored with a certain series or something like that, they'll actually create their own character, and they design them, their own personality, and then they create the cosplay for that character too. So it can be completely original also.
Okay. What is your favorite character?
That I've cosplayed so far?
Just name it.
I would probably say cosplaying Lust from Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay, which is the first one you mentioned. Okay, thank you so much. Coming up next after our commercial break, we have another talented student who will be talking to us about his love for performance art. Find out just what POI is all about. Welcome back. We have the pleasure to talk to another fellow Eastern Michigan University student, Kern Stanley, about what he does in his free time. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it into the studio today, but we were able to set up a crew nearby him, so we're going to have this interview with him. Hello, Kern. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well, thank you.
Well, we here at Eastern Bazaar have heard that you have a very unique hobby called POI, and we would love to know more about it. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how long you've been studying the sport of POI.
I've been studying POI for about less than a year, and I'm originally from Jackson, Michigan.
So what year are you here at Eastern now?
I am a fourth-year senior.
Good for you. So this hobby called POI, can you explain what it is?
POI is essentially a performance art that comes from New Zealand originally, with a tribe whose name I can never pronounce. And it has since then become just an art that people practice and perform across the world. Usually involves a string with a ball attached to the end that you spin around your body on both hands. Originally when I started out, I started with just 2 knee-high socks with tennis balls in them.
You've also pre-recorded a full performance of the LED POI. We're going to take a look at that right now. Before we leave you today, we have one more guest. With us now is Alexander Price.
Hello.
Hi there, Alexander. Thank you for being with us. Tell us a little bit about your hobby, please.
Well, back when I first came to Eastern, which was about 5 years ago now, I moved in with a group of my friends, well, who I didn't really know too well. And I get there, and they're all very active people. They do gymnastics, they do rollerblading, all this kind of stuff. And also, I moved in with, it was 3 other guys, all of them juggle. And I just moved in with them. So, I mean, just to sort of fit in, like I didn't skate, I didn't do gymnastics, so I might as well learn one of these stupid tricks that they do all the time.
Absolutely. So they taught you?
Yeah, they taught me, definitely.
Okay, all right. Is there a place that you learn how to do this?
Yeah, your dorm room is a good place.
I mean, did they learn from friends? Did they go to a juggling school? I mean,
You know,
there is such a thing.
One of them was in karate for a long time, and I think that might have been where it sort of started from, and then
okay.
it was just sort of a domino effect once one gets to see it, you know.
Okay.
The kids start watching the
So
juggler.
do you have to have super duper eye-hand coordination, or can anybody juggle?
That was the exciting thing about it, is at first it looks absolutely impossible. Like that you absolutely cannot do this trick. And it takes probably, you know, just a couple weeks, maybe a month of failing miserably and feeling like a complete fool. But luckily when you're by yourself in your dorm room, like you know, it's not so, there's no pressure or anything.
So you practiced on your own without anybody looking at you
Practiced
for a
on my
while.
own quite
Absolutely.
a bit, yeah.
And when you stepped up, did you guys like go out and entertain the campus? And
No. I did show my parents, you know, they were real proud of where all my tuition was.
I was just going to say, he spent the tuition for you to learn juggling. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, great. How many kinds of things can one juggle?
Oh, one can definitely juggle lots of things, but for the
see.
sake of simplicity, we have started with things that are round. Things that are soft, things that don't make a lot of noise when you drop them.
So you haven't graduated to fire baton things
No
yet,
fire
or anything
batons
like that?
yet,
All
no
right.
running chainsaws. That's
you-
next in the step.
Do you have aspirations to do that?
No, I think maybe I'm going to try the batons first.
Okay, excellent. All right. How did you, what do you think are your skills that help you do this? What have you done in your past life that helped you become a juggler?
Hand-eye coordination-wise,
Do you play sports?
a little bit, yeah. I mean, I played floor hockey for a while when I was a kid, and I played soccer, but that wasn't very hand-eye coordination. I also really like table tennis, and when I was a kid, my dad bought a ping pong table, and I would sit there and play on that for hours and hours and hours. And,
Okay,
I mean, it's not really the same, but it's still hand-eye coordination. Still
I would think
reaction
that
time.
probably helped.
I think so, yeah,
Okay.
definitely by now.
All right.
And a little bit of peer pressure when you know, you move in with people who can do it and you can't. That's something that sort of motivates
What's
you.
the best thing that your roommates juggled?
What did they juggle? We had, you know, when we first started out, we had these, they were like 1-pound sand weights that he had for some sort of fitness or whatever. But that was what I learned to juggle on. So every time you would miss, they weighed a pound. So bam, bam, bam.
I bet your roommates love, or your suite mates or whoever was around loved that. Hitting
Definitely.
the floor, definitely.
Might have broken a thing or two with them
Okay.
too. But
So basically you just do oranges.
yeah, for right now.
Because they're safe.
Definitely. Much
And they
safer.
also provide a meal.
Yeah, afterward.
Okay, great. What's your major in school? What are you doing?
I'm studying communication technology.
Okay. Do you think that your juggling is going to help you in any fashion in your communication technology?
That's a good question. I would say that, I guess, it helps you sort of realize that things just take practice, and even though it seems like, you know, you may be encountering, you have to set up a computer, and you've never seen this software before, and you've never done anything like this before, just take your time, you know, give it your best, and, you know, with a little bit of perseverance.
So it teaches a good life lesson.
It does,
All
definitely.
right, awesome. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot now, I think.
Man.
And let you show us your skills with the, these are not oranges, these are, what are these?
Clementines.
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 Clementine juggling, yes.
All right. Whew. First, just take it nice and slow, and just kind of get 3 up in the air here. And once you get a little bit more comfortable, I guess you can go a little bit faster. But I don't want to get too far away, otherwise I'll drop it and kind of look like a fool. But you can
You're not
sort
looking
of
like a fool. Oh, one-handed?
switch it up
All
a
right,
little
I'm
bit, do
impressed.
some
I'm
one-handed
impressed. Look at that. Now, you start out obviously like 1 and then 2.
Oh, no.
And can you do more than 3? I'm not going to ask you to, but can you do more than 3? Or have you tried it?
I have tried it. It's pretty difficult. We're working on 5 right now. You can't really do 4. So we're working on 5.
So an odd number is the trick.
Yep. Yeah,
All
definitely
right.
an odd number.
All right, cool. I'm pretty impressed with that already. That's awesome. Let's have a seat.
Yeah.
We'll have to retrieve all the clementines.
Yeah, there's quite a few lying around here.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, so for the rest of our viewers, thanks for tuning in. And never forget, this world has got a lot of talents and a lot of things, and a place that you can always seek out new hobbies, and because people love Bazaar. Thanks for being here.